Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren, mein Name ist Hayden Jones und heute präsentiere ich über die Ursache und Wirkungen Cultural Diffusion sowie mögliche Lösungen, die kulturellen können sich schützen. For all die kein Deutsch sprechen können, my name is Hayden Jones and today I'm going to be talking about cultural diffusion, some causes and effects, and then some solutions to the problems that we'll see. So first to preface before we get into it, a lot of these numbers are not exact because there's undocumented people, and of course things are constantly changing, so these numbers are not exact, but they're very close. And of course, you might not know, but there's 7.6 billion people on the planet, so that's just kind of a number so you can get an idea of the percents and things like that. So first of all, the biggest cause and effect of cultural diffusion is migration. So we have emigration and immigration. Emigration, of course, meaning that people move out of a country, immigration, move in. So every day, you have tons of people fleeing their countries, mostly because of religious persecution or just other things that make it unsafe for them in their home. And they're moving to other countries, especially in Europe, with lots of the Syrian refugees going into countries, especially like Germany. And currently, this number might not be exact, of course, like I said, but there's about 65.6 million people displaced in the world. So that's a lot of people bringing their culture into another area. And then, of course, immigration. So Europe has been the most generous in terms of hosting people who are displaced, especially recently with the Syrian crisis. And in Germany, there are 8.2 million immigrants. That number might be a little more or a little less. This is just the number average from different reports because there could be undocumented people and other things like that. So you see a lot of people moving, especially into Europe. And the next cause and effect is globalization, which is happening a lot through urbanization and travel. So the virtual effects, and I mean this like not face-to-face, in the world, there are about 3.58 billion internet users, so that's people all over the world. And even though in the world, there are more people who speak Chinese in person than there are who speak English, online, there are more English speakers than there are Chinese speakers. So that kind of shows the dominance of how English has taken over the internet. And then, of course, there are that many other language speakers online, which is still even less than English. So besides the top 10 languages, there are still less speakers of other languages than just the top one. So that was kind of an interesting fact for me, and it shows that despite there being all these different people, there's still like one dominant thing on the internet, which is English. And then actual interaction, so face-to-face, last year there were 2.69 trillion plane tickets purchased, and that doesn't mean that one person, it could be that one person flew that many times or somewhere in between there, probably not one person, but just a lot of people traveling and going face-to-face. So of course tourism, going there, inserting your culture into where you go, and then of course bringing it back with you when you come home. So it's just a lot of more spreading of culture and learning about things. And then of course the counter of this would be that instead of cultures kind of like giving each other things, they are like on more of a spectrum, and instead of like kind of giving a little, getting a little, they kind of merge and create new things on here. So my argument would be more that cultures don't really merge, it's more that one would give something to the other one and they would lose something, so it's more of a harsh kind of gradient. So yeah, like in America, we're often called the melting pot of the world, and that's more of the spectrum kind of idea where all these cultures are coming together and forming something new, but I would argue that it's more, some cultures are being more dominant, and maybe there is some forming of new ideas and practices, but mainly it's just the replacement of other ideas. And then to conclude, so of course to combat the problem that comes from migration, all cultures need to have practitioners. So without these practitioners to practice the culture, there's going to be no strong base to back up and really foster that idea. So without practitioners, a culture won't have anyone to spread it or anyone to protect it. And then of course from globalization, a culture needs to have some kind of boundaries in place to assert itself and to kind of protect itself from having other people come and try to influence it and change it. Of course, that is a good thing too. Like you can always take ideas from other cultures, but being overtaken by another culture isn't good. And then of course being competitive. So like we saw with the internet, English is a very competitive language, I would say, and on the internet it's really taken over throughout the whole entire world. So a culture of being competitive and really having those resources available like internet and other things like that to allow them to go further and do more things really helps them diffuse and stay strong. That's it.
So what information did you need that you weren't able to find or locate?
Well, like I said earlier, a lot of the numbers, pretty much every single resource that I went to had different numbers, so I just kind of had to average it out. But I think that's really the biggest thing that I couldn't find were like specific numbers that I was like absolutely sure were correct. So.
If you had more time, what additional research would you have conducted?
I think I would have done some more research onto some specific cultures that have been merging. I referenced like the Syrians coming into Germany, but I think just more examples of that, maybe like in America, so that we could relate to it more. Things like that, more like personal.
Thanks.